Soon after her arrival, strange things began to happen in the village. The oaks surrounding Hollow Oak seemed to come alive, their branches creaking and groaning as if in conversation. The wind carried voices, whispers too faint to understand, but unsettling nonetheless. The villagers noticed the animals becoming restless, dogs barking at shadows and horses refusing to go near the mansion. The widow herself was rarely seen, but on the rare occasions when she ventured into the village, the air grew thick with tension. She moved with an otherworldly grace, and though her face was hidden, her presence exuded an aura of sorrow and mystery. The villagers avoided her, casting wary glances as she passed by. One evening, a group of curious children dared each other to approach Hollow Oak. They tiptoed through the forest, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they neared the mansion, they heard the unmistakable sound of weeping. The cries seemed to come from within the house, echoing through the still air. Terrified, the children fled back to the village, their stories fueling the growing unease. In a remote village nestled between dense forests and mist-covered hills, there was a centuries-old mansion known as Hollow Oak. The mansion stood at the edge of the village, surrounded by towering oak trees whose leaves seemed to whisper ancient secrets to those who dared to listen. The villagers spoke of Hollow Oak with a mixture of fear and reverence, for the mansion had long been abandoned, until the arrival of the mysterious widow. The widow came to the village one late autumn evening, her carriage creaking through the narrow, cobbled streets. Dressed in mourning black, with a veil covering her face, she disembarked and silently entered the mansion. No one knew her name, and no one dared to ask. The villagers watched from their windows, wondering who she was and why she had come to claim the forsaken estate. Rumors spread quickly. Some said she was the ghost of a woman who had once lived in the mansion, returned to reclaim her home. Others believed she was a witch, drawn to the mansion's dark history. The truth was far more enigmatic. Soon after her arrival, strange things began to happen in the village. The oaks surrounding Hollow Oak seemed to come alive, their branches creaking and groaning as if in conversation. The wind carried voices, whispers too faint to understand, but unsettling nonetheless. The villagers noticed the animals becoming restless, dogs barking at shadows and horses refusing to go near the mansion. The widow herself was rarely seen, but on the rare occasions when she ventured into the village, the air grew thick with tension. She moved with an otherworldly grace, and though her face was hidden, her presence exuded an aura of sorrow and mystery. The villagers avoided her, casting wary glances as she passed by. One evening, a group of curious children dared each other to approach Hollow Oak. They tiptoed through the forest, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they neared the mansion, they heard the unmistakable sound of weeping. The cries seemed to come from within the house, echoing through the still air. Terrified, the children fled back to the village, their stories fueling the growing unease. An elderly woman named Maud, the village's unofficial historian, decided to investigate the widow's origins. She remembered the tales her grandmother had told her as a child, stories of a woman named Elara, who had once lived in Hollow Oak with her husband, Lord Aldrich. Elara was known for her beauty and kindness, but her life was marked by tragedy. One fateful night, Lord Aldrich was called away to war, leaving Elara alone in the mansion. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but Aldrich never returned. Elara waited faithfully, her heart heavy with grief, until she too disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Some said she died of a broken heart, while others whispered of a curse that had befallen her. When Maud shared this story with the villagers, their fear only grew. They believed the widow was the spirit of Elara, returned to seek revenge or perhaps to find peace. But Maud wasn't convinced. She sensed there was more to the story, something hidden beneath the layers of folklore and superstition. Maud decided to confront the widow. She made her way to Hollow Oak, her steps firm despite the chill in the air. As she approached the mansion, the wind seemed to howl in protest, the oaks bending as if to block her path. But Maud was determined. She knocked on the heavy wooden door, and after a long moment it creaked open. The widow stood before her, silent and still. Maud's heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to turn back. "I've come to know the truth," Maud said, her voice steady. "Who are you and why have you come?" The widow regarded her for a long moment before slowly lifting her veil. Maud gasped. The woman's face was pale as moonlight, her eyes deep pools of sorrow. Yet there was something familiar about her, something that stirred the depths of Maud's memory. "I am not a ghost, nor am I here to harm anyone," the widow finally spoke, her voice soft but clear. "My name is Seraphine, and I am the last descendant of Elara and Aldrich." She explained that she discovered her lineage only recently and had come to Hallow Oak to uncover the truth about her ancestors. The mansion, long shrouded in mystery, held secrets that had been buried for centuries. Seraphine believed that Elara's spirit lingered, trapped by the grief of her husband's disappearance. Part 5. The Truth Revealed. With Maud's help, Seraphine began to search the mansion for clues. They scoured the dusty halls, the forgotten rooms, and the overgrown gardens. It was in the mansion's library that they found the key, a collection of old letters hidden behind a loose brick in the fireplace. The letters were from Lord Aldrich, written during the war. He had never abandoned Elara. He had been captured by the enemy and spent years in captivity. The final letter revealed that he had escaped and was making his way back to Hallow Oak. But before he could return, tragedy struck. Elara, believing him dead, had taken her own life in despair. As they read the final letter, the mansion groaned, and a chill filled the room. The widow and Maud felt a presence, a cold, sorrowful presence that seemed to envelop them. Seraphine knew then that Elara's spirit was near, still mourning the loss of her beloved. But as the truth of Aldrich's fate was revealed, the air grew lighter, the oppressive weight lifting. The mansion, once dark and foreboding, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Seraphine understood that Elara's spirit could now find peace, knowing that Aldrich had never abandoned her. Part 6. The Farewell. In the days that followed, the villagers noticed a change. The whispers in the oaks ceased. The animals grew calm, and the air around Hallow Oak seemed brighter. The widow, Seraphine, became a familiar figure in the village, no longer shrouded in mystery. She shared her story with those who would listen, and slowly the fear that had gripped the village began to fade. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Seraphine stood at the edge of the forest, gazing at the mansion. She felt a sense of closure, knowing that her ancestors' tragic tale had finally been resolved. With a final glance at Hallow Oak, she turned and walked away, leaving the mansion in the care of the village, no longer a place of fear, but a testament to a love that had transcended even death. And so the tale of the mysterious widow came to an end, not with fear or sorrow, but with understanding and peace. The village would never forget the story of Seraphine and the Widow of Hallow Oak, a story passed down through generations, as a reminder that even the darkest mysteries can be unraveled with courage and compassion.